Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Dan Kasper Show on the air. Radio dials, you get a couple of those. 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Online, sportstalk1051.com. You can stream it there. Got the video stream up and rolling. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google and Alexa home devices. Sports Talk app. Happy Tuesday. Happy Grind My Gears Tuesday. Appreciate you making us a part of your starts on this lovely March 7th. Well, are we getting closer? Are we finally going to get a resolution to this whole thing with Aaron Charles Rodgers? Of course, after we shut off the mics yesterday, the news came down that Derek Carr wasn't going to the Jets, like it was being reported that he was leaning towards that way. In fact, he's reuniting with his old Raiders coach, Dennis Allen, with the New Orleans Saints. So, which meant all the talk and the narratives, speculation, whatever the heck you want to call it, focused on is Aaron going to be going to the Jets? Might be getting closer. Trey Wingo, remember Trey Wingo from ESPN? Back in the day, I shouldn't say back in the day because it wasn't that far ago. But he had tweeted out overnight, just a few hours ago, that Aaron Rodgers and the Jets have indeed talked to each other. They had a conversation yesterday, apparently. What does that mean? I don't know. What they talk about? I don't know. But I think it means that there might be some movement potentially finally coming down the line, and maybe just a little feeling out process for Aaron. But we're gonna get there. Is it actually going to happen? Are you starting to get some flashbacks to '08 here a little bit, envisioning your future Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback donning a shade of different green over there in New York? Now, if it happens, my question is he even going to be allowed to wear number 12? Joe Namath 12 is retired, right? I think so. So no, maybe we're going it back to number 8 to his Cal days or something. Or what, did he wear 4 in high school or Butte College or something like that too? Who the heck knows? I don't know. Don't matter anymore. But it's sure. I'll be honest with you. I know I've been saying the last few days, I kind of switched it to where I think he's going to be back in Green Bay. I think that that meter is now going back in the other direction. Going to go back in the other direction here. Thinking, I don't know if he's going to be back. And this is also on top of, I don't know if anybody had heard this from Rich Eisen. Oh, Rich Eisen, NFL Network. He's been around the NFL for a long time with the NFL Network on our own radio show. But yesterday, he did his top 5 rumors that he heard at the combine. All right. This was number 2. I'm just going to play it right away for you because I want it to set up what we're going to be kind of chatting about here in a little bit in the leadoff. All right. So audio courtesy from the Rich Eisen show. If it's going to play. Isn't yeah, come on. Load up. There we go. It's a little fast forward because the computer had to restart there. So just killing some time here. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Again, audio courtesy Rich Eisen, Rich Eisen show yesterday. Packers, what he was hearing from multiple people, don't want Aaron Rodgers back. So, what an HE double hockey sticks happened from, let's say, March 8th, was it last year when it was announced, new contract, Aaron, and he's going to retire as a Packer. What an HE double hockey stick happened within the past year, change all of that. Let's hit that up coming up here in just a little bit on the leadoff. I've got a few thoughts on that. Uh, Badgers, Badgers making a coaching change, not in the basketball program, men's hockey program. Tony Granato out as head coach for the men's Badger hockey program. It was announced yesterday. Chris McIntosh talking to the media. Tony Granato even chatting a little bit with the media as well. So a little bit different than what after the Paul Chris situation, but after 7 seasons, Tony Granato, Badger's going to be looking for a new head hockey coach. So there you go. We're perfect timing because we're going to be talking with RJ Cardinal coming up at 8:30. RJ, if you remember our Badger analyst from the Zone in Madison, kind of talked about it a little bit last year, thinking, hey, this is a newer, shut up, put up type of year. They kind of wondered, okay, maybe they give him another year with all the recruits coming in. But nope, not the case. And if you listen to some of Granato's comments afterwards, he kind of made it sound like that. One, he knew this would probably be coming, but also he kind of knew like this was the year that his team really had to show something. So how this affects that recruiting class coming in and such, I don't know. I'm not sure. But nonetheless, Chris McIntosh is going to be looking for another head coach for one of his premier programs. And this is going to lead into my press pass question of the day coming up a little bit later on because it is a press pass Tuesday where you can ask anybody in the sports world one question and you are going to get a truthful answer. Okay. You're going to get a truthful answer. And I'll just give you a little bit of tease. Mine is going to be uh, directed towards Chris McIntosh, Badgers athletic director. So we'll hit that up a little bit. Bucks are going to be back in action tonight, taking on the Orlando Magic. For anybody that was kind of wondering about the whole rebound thing, yes, we talked about it yesterday. Giannis got that triple double. He kind of threw the ball off the backboard, got his 10th rebound and such. Apparently, the NBA yesterday took it away. Took it away. So doesn't get counted for a triple double for Giannis, but whatever. It is what it is. Bucks got the win. That's the most important thing at this point, right? Bucks currently holding on to a 2-game lead over the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference standings. But got Orlando coming up, and then Brooklyn, and then that little quick West Coast trip. Could be a big stretch of 3 games in 4 days, starting Saturday against Golden State, Sacramento, and Phoenix. All right. What else do we got on the docket? It is Grind My Gears Tuesday. So, what's grinding your gears? Let us know with a quick text on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Find me on Twitter at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Casper Sports. Also, you could comment on the video stream if you would like. We're going to do a little pop quiz. We'll hit the pop quiz up just before the 7 o'clock hour. We'll catch up with our friends from the Steel at about 8:05. Still had a good weekend. Points race for that playoff spot. Getting a little bit closer now. Getting a little bit closer. So we'll catch up with the Steel coming up at 8:05. So, um, latest, by the way, Badgers too. Latest ESPN bracketology projections from Joe Lenardi does have the Badgers out of the tournament, out of the tournament. One of the first 4 out, so he switched it up. So, wasn't impressed with the win against the Gophers. Now Badgers can change that potentially with a little bit of a deep run in the Big Ten Conference Tournament starting this week, starting tomorrow. Right now, kind of it looks like on an uphill run. So, all right, let's get things rolling here. Coming up on the leadoff this morning, we'll talk a little green and gold. Aaron Jones is on Good Morning Football this morning. And apparently, I mean, they just started this show at 6 a.m., but obviously they're going to be talking a lot about Aaron Rodgers, right? But apparently, he just said that I hope Aaron Rodgers that is not going anywhere. He's my quarterback. All right. They got Aaron Jones going out there and saying, Aaron, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, man. And last year, we had this 3-year, $150 million deal. Seemed like everybody was singing Kumbaya. Roger said he's going to retire as a Packer, and now maybe we're inching closer to him wearing a different shade of green. How do we get there? I got a couple theories, maybe thoughts on that. And we'll revisit what does a trade do for Aaron because a couple of you reached out yesterday asking questions about salary cap stuff. So we'll revisit like how this would affect the salary cap for the Packers. Because again, remember, it doesn't wipe the slate clean. Gonna have some dead money on that thing. So, but let's get it rolling here. We'll take that first break. Yeah, maybe we're getting closer, people. Finally getting a resolution. All right, coming up on the leadoff, we'll hit up a little Packers chat here. Latest on the ever saga of Aaron Rodgers. These warmer temps maybe getting you a little anxious, a little excited for some springtime. Maybe thinking a little summer and such. We're getting teased with these warmer temperatures, that's for sure. But remember, hate to say it, it is Wisconsin, and we got state tournaments coming up, and you know what usually happens around that time. Just saying, just saying. But it also is a good reminder that it's time to start thinking about getting your vehicle ready for spring or summer. Maybe it's getting close to that time and picking back up your summer vehicle restoration project so you can get ready to hit up the car shows. Whether you're needing to get your vehicle ready for some road trips or car shows, ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire is ready to help you get ready. New batteries, new tires, or a quick oil change, ASAP Used Auto Parts has that all covered for you. And about those hard to find high quality used auto parts to either help you save some money on a repair job or that restoration project, hey, ASAP Used Auto Parts, they can help you find that part that you're looking for. Don't forget, too, they also offer a military discount. The amazing customer service at ASAP Used Auto Parts wants to help you with your auto needs. So stop on by 1330 Menominee Street in Eau Claire. You can visit their website, asapusedautopartsec.com. All right, let's just jump into this thing now. Are we getting close? Are we not? Who knows? Time is ticking. Tick, tick, tick. I think it's going to happen at some point this week. You're starting to hear a little bit more rumors and rumblings. So let's just dive into it. In case you missed it, mentioned it earlier, but in case you missed it, Trey Wingo tweeted out a few hours ago, overnight, that Aaron Rodgers and the Jets had a conversation. Now, if anybody's wondering about tampering, Packers can give permission to do so. So, I mean, I'm assuming the Packers gave permission for the Jets and Rodgers to chat, which tells me two things. One, Aaron's at least willing or open for discussion about the possibility of playing elsewhere, but also maybe perhaps the biggest one, the Packers are also open and willing to discuss the possibility of one Aaron Charles Rodgers playing elsewhere. That's what that tells me. That doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but it tells me that they're perhaps more open to that in years past. We heard from, Rich Eisen said one of the biggest rumors at the combine that he was being told about is that the Packers don't want Aaron back. They don't want to be the ones to break it up, but they're really hoping Aaron doesn't come back to them and say, let's run it back. So how in the world did we get back to here? You go back a couple years ago, all that offseason drama around the draft, the accumulation of information from Adam Schefter and all that sort of stuff. Finger pointing, Aaron does come back. He has that presser kind of pointing out the flaws, in his opinion, of the Green Bay Packers organization. Then it felt like everybody was singing Kumbaya, holding hands, dancing around the fire. Everybody's happy. Last year, around this time, he signs a new contract. 3 years, 150 some $million. It's a contract that really showed from the Packers side, it showed their commitment to Aaron Rodgers, the way it was structured. Like, I mean, we've talked about this contract before. It's not a very team-friendly contract. So it showed that the Packers were committed to Aaron. And then Aaron, preseason training camp, saying, I'm going to retire as a Packer. So if we are potentially getting close to Aaron playing for the Jets, getting traded to the Jets, what in the world happened? What in the world happened? Why how did we get here again? I don't know if we'll know the 100% truthful answer or maybe answers. But you probably heard some of the rumors saying reports out there that, that, or the phrases like or the Packers are not going to be kissing the ring of Aaron Rodgers anymore. You probably heard about, they're tired of maybe some of the antics or the drama, that sort of thing. Or one of them that they kind of felt like maybe he was a little bit relaxed in his leadership, relaxed in his leadership qualities. They wanted him to commit to off-season workouts and be with the team and such. Got a bunch of different reasons that are being thrown out there, right? So for me, and I don't have any inside info, but for me, when I look at this, I think it might just be a little bit of all of it. I'm not trying to kind of like not give an answer, but I honestly feel like it's a bunch of different things that you throw it in a pot and you put it all together and it kind of like balloons into one big thing. It's all these different things that just accumulated into one big issue. I feel like, yeah, Green Bay, they may get a little annoyed, or they may have been a little annoyed, especially last year, where Aaron didn't show up for offseason workouts. Years past may not have been a big thing, may not have been a big issue. But coming off that contract and then knowing that, hey, we're going to have a completely different wide receiving core full of youngsters. Be nice if the quarterback was there early to develop that connection, to work with them, to help them out, and maybe speed up the transition from the college game to the pro game, get them a little bit more acclimated to it. I'm sure there was frustration with that. And we know, Green Bay with their contracts, shout out to Andrew Brandt because he was the one who started doing these with the Packers contracts, but they put a lot of bonuses attached to offseason workouts. That's how they get these Packers players to come to Green Bay in the offseason to work out. But let's be real, when it comes to a guy like Aaron Rodgers, don't matter. I mean, do you really think money is a big object anymore to him? I mean, of like a couple million or 500,000 or whatever the heck his offseason workout bonus would have been? No, it ain't. For others, yeah, it is. But not Aaron. So I think that had a part to do with it. And honestly, they might just be tired of like the attention around, like whatever is Tuesdays with Pat or the cryptic stuff that he says. And yeah, I would agree that some media tends to overanalyze it, scrutinize it, nitpick it, make it a headline, make it clickbait. But at the same time, we're all tired of it, right? We're all tired of this. Got to imagine they are too at 1265 Lombardi Avenue. But since they've gone through that Favre thing too, they don't want to be the ones to like say, "Hey, see ya." I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to, PR sort of thing. They want to try to make Aaron be the one that calls the divorce. Little, kind of tug of war action there. But it's just, I think there's other stuff that had to have gone on through the season, and maybe it is mostly just him not showing up to off-season stuff, or maybe the Packers noticed some leadership qualities kind of going down. Maybe they noticed a little lackadaisical Aaron Rodgers. I don't know, but obviously something happened from last year at this point to where Green Bay gave him that what now looks like an absolutely ridiculous contract. It is not team friendly. Green Bay committed to that guy. He wanted to see some commitment. Green Bay gave him that. And now all of a sudden, Green Bay sure seems like that they're trying to get out of this thing. So what the heck happened? Aaron Jones I know said this morning, said he wants Aaron as his quarterback. That's his quarterback. Aaron Jones is probably one of the nicest dudes in the world. Interviewed him at the Super Bowl. Going to have a chance to talk with him when he's in Eau Claire for the tailgate tour. But he's one of the nicest dudes in the world. I don't think he's ever going to say anything like negative, like, nah, I don't want that guy there. And he probably does want Aaron there too. I'm not saying he doesn't want it, but something obviously happened. And maybe it's to the point where, hey, Aaron's got, his guys, Bakhtiari, Kabi, Lazard. But you got some of the new guys in that locker room, maybe some of the younger guys, and they're just like, what's going on? What's with this guy? They're gravitating maybe a little bit more towards Jordan Love. Remember, we can go into the during the season when Devondre Campbell, can't remember what show it was on. It was like one of those like during the week Packers TV shows, but he made the point that, in his opinion, Jordan Love's better than half the starting quarterbacks in the league. Now, is that just a teammate being a good teammate? Maybe. We won't know until the guy is actually on the field for more than a game or more than a half. But there's obviously something that went on from last year at this point to where we're at now. And it's probably accumulation of a bunch of things. But there's something where I think the Packers brass, front office, it's just like, dude, we showed you this commitment. We showed you this commitment. And they maybe view it as he didn't hold up his end of the bargain. I'm just speculating out there. I don't know. Because obviously something had to have happened. Yeah. So what happens if the Packers were to trade Aaron Rodgers in terms of cap? We keep hearing that, it's a bad contract for the Packers. It's a horrible contract for the Packers. It is. And it's one of those weird ones. The longer he's under contract, the worse it can get. That's why when you say the team made a commitment to him, the team made a commitment to him last year when they signed this deal. They showed him that commitment that he wanted. But for the Packers sense, if they were to trade Aaron Rodgers, they got a couple of deals, but they're not great options here. So all in all, the Packers are going to take on $40.3 million in dead money if they were to trade him. $40.3 million. That is according to Over the Cap, prorated portion of the contract that comes from his $40.8 million bonus received last season and the remaining portion from a $14.26 million bonus from 2019 and $14.65 million bonus from 2021. So Green Bay could take all that on right now. Like if they were to trade him today, they could take all that dead money on right now. Get it over with. We've seen some teams do that, right? The other part in this whole thing is that they could delay the trade until that post-June 1st thing, right? We've talked about the post-June 1st stuff. That would allow the Packers to split the dead money up to where it would be $15.8 million this year and about $24.5 next year. However, the downfall to that is that would require the Packers to carry Rodgers in that contract until June 1st at his current Packers cap charge, which is at about $31.6 million. So, not great, right? Especially when free agency starts next week. You're going to have to carry, Rodgers on there for 31.6. But the other part in that is that it could help when it comes to signing rookies. Like you could kind of maybe kind of carry Aaron's cap hit till June 1st, and then you do the post June 1st designation. And you probably don't sign your rookies until maybe after that move is made, right? You clear about $15 million in cap space, and then you kind of use that to sign your rookie class. Or maybe Green Bay just kind of looks at it at this point too and be like, well, we already got them charged as a cap hit for about 31 whatever now. We're about 17 million under the cap. We'll do our free agency sort of thing and not sign those rookies until after June 1st. I mean, there's no way you can take an eraser and just erase 40.3 million in dead money. You can't. It just depends now on how they go about it. And the other thing on this too is the interesting, don't want to get too far ahead, but like in 2024, okay? So 2020, if they do the post June 1st, where his cap hit would be 24.5 million. Remember, Green Bay's already kicking the can down the bucket. Or kicking the can down the bucket. Kicking the can down the road, right? They're kicking that bucket down the road. They're already trying to push some money further down. Well, in 2024, they'll be taking on a $24.5 million cap hit without him. However, they would also have Jordan Love's fifth-year option, which is going to be fully guaranteed around a little over $20 million. So what do you do? Do you maybe take on? Let's assume Aaron is gone. He is traded. What would you do? It would. Do you take on all that cap hit now? Wipe it all clean, and then next year you got some open cap space. Jordan Love, if he balls out this year, you give him that contract, or do you split it up? What do you do? What do you do if you were? Let's assume Aaron gets traded. You're the general manager. You're Goody. Would you do the post June 1st, split up that cap hit, or say, you know what? Screw it. We'll take it all on this year. Love's on his fourth year of his rookie deal. We're paying the quarterback cheap. We're just going to pretend like he's getting, that Aaron Rodgers stuff. And then next year, wipe it clean. I kind of feel like that's the route to go. I don't know if that's the route they're going to go because they, again, pushing it down. And maybe that's why they are pushing it down. Maybe that's why they are kind of, pushing all that money down because they want to clear as much cap space this year to take on all that dead money. Could be. I mean, they could probably clear some more space with Rashawn Gary. And remember last week at the Combine, too, it was, Goody had mentioned about working with Bakhtiari to restructure. We haven't heard anything yet. We haven't seen anything yet. We saw the Kenny Clark one shortly after that. By the way, Kenny Clark in my hometown, Medford, yesterday, and in Abbotsford. But I never would have thought in 2008 would we be talking about this again in like 2023. And we've been talking about it for the last couple of years, but it sure seems like that it's going to happen. Like maybe we're getting closer to that. And if I'm from the Jets side, like I don't know what the trade compensation is going to be after the Derek Carr signing with the Saints. I think now you do have a desperate Jets team. I know Diana Rossini from ESPN mentioned that there was others in the building pushing for Jimmy G, which, I mean, kind of makes sense because Robert Saleh came over from San Francisco. You have some familiarity over there with Jimmy G. Obviously, you got Nathaniel Hackett over there with familiarity with Aaron Rodgers. But I don't know what that trade compensation will look like. I'm assuming Green Bay wants first-round picks. But the Jets are probably going to want, like, hey, we would like him for more than a year. So there's probably going to be some contingency picks attached to that. Like, for example, it might be, hey, you get this year's first round pick, and then next year you get our next year's third or second round pick. But if he plays the following year, it moves into a first round pick or whatever. Similar a little bit. Remember, if you could go back to '08, the Favre one had escalators. Like if the Jets made the postseason, it was going to be a higher pick and all that stuff too. I don't know how this is going to work out. You got now, I think, at one point it looked like, hey, if the Jets were going to get Carr, compensation might be a little bit light for Aaron. Now, you're Goody. Do you take advantage of a desperate Jets team? And I was thinking about this yesterday too. It's like the other part in this, there's a couple other parts in this. One, I just thought there's no rhyme or reason to it. I just thought it was kind of an interesting thing. You look at the Jets and the Packers right now, and the Jets just a couple years ago drafted a quarterback with the second overall pick, Zach Wilson. The year prior to that is when the Packers drafted Jordan Love. Look at where these two franchises are now. Jets are not satisfied with Zach Wilson, at least right now. They're desperate for a veteran quarterback. Green Bay, I don't know, maybe kind of seems like they're desperate to move on from their veteran quarterback and want to go to their future. Potential future. We don't know how Love's going to pan out. And the other thing I haven't really heard or seen a whole lot of people talk about, we know Aaron and Zach Wilson are close. Like Aaron has kind of taken Zach Wilson under his wing, it seems like. And part of me was wondering, like, would Aaron want to even go to the Jets and maybe mess up that situation for Zach Wilson? Like, kind of maybe take him out of the picture, essentially taking his job over there. Or does he view it as a situation, hey, I can help out this kid. I can go there and help him out. That's an Aaron Rodgers thought. I don't know what way he would kind of lean towards that. But I haven't seen that really kind of thrown out there either. But I don't know. To kind of bring it all back now, something happened. Or some things happened in this year. 1 year ago, yeah, Pro Football Talk tweeted out that 52 weeks ago today, 1 year ago tomorrow, Aaron Rodgers announced he would return to the Packers for 2022. And you had that contract in that, right? Everybody singing Kumbaya. Aaron saying he's going to retire as a Packer. So what the heck happened? What happened? I think it was a lot of things. Maybe Green Bay was tired of him not showing up and helping out the youngsters, or maybe there was stuff going on that we didn't know about. Maybe it was, some of the rumors that lackadaisical, they thought that, could have been a better leader. I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff that's being floated out there. And I think it was probably just all coming up at one. And maybe Green Bay was a little frustrated because they did commit to him with that contract. And they felt like, and this is kind of where I'm leaning towards, but maybe Green Bay just looked at it and said, we committed to you. We feel like you didn't hold up your end of the bargain. We're frustrated. And maybe it's time to move on. And when I say hold up their end of the bargain, it's not necessarily the wins or the losses. It's maybe some other stuff going on. All right, your thoughts. Hit me up on Twitter at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports, or with a quick text on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line, 715-830-1912. We'll take a quick break. We'll close up the first hour here. Don't forget, we got plenty of Badger stuff to talk about a little bit later on as well. We'll be back after these words. Don't forget to head to our website, sportstalk1051.com, and pre-register, I should say, for our bracket challenge. Sportstalk1051.com. Just click on the enter and win tab up there, and you can start to pre-register. We've got some prizes we'll be giving away from our good friends over there at Hy-Vee. Also, if you want to put it on your calendars on March 17th, that is St. Patrick's Day, but also the Friday of the opening round, we're going to be, or I should say, I'll be over there for a little bit if you want to kind of come out and hang out here for a little bit, because on Fridays during the games, they're going to be giving away a free beer for everybody. So everybody gets a free beer. All right, everybody gets a free beer during the games on Fridays. Otherwise, other days like Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, that they're going to have $2 taps for Man Cave Light and Bud Light during the games. So that's a heck of a deal. So hopefully we'll see you on Friday, or maybe we'll see you at some other days over there too, watching the games. All right. So we know probably G-Man's going to be over there, right? Got to take advantage of that, baby. So, all right. I'll check out the texting line coming up here in just a little bit, because we only got a few minutes to the top of the hour. But don't forget, I want your grind my gears, and what is your press pass question? So I'll tell you right now what my press pass question is going to be, because we're going to talk a little Badgers coming up just past 7. Then we'll deep dive it with RJ Cardinal coming up at about 8:25, 8:30 this morning. But with the firing of Tony Granato, the Badger men's hockey coach, a lot of Badger fans, I think, want to see a change similar like with the men's basketball program. And there was some thoughts about it after, this season kind of went along, and obviously we know what happened with the football program and such, but they made a move with the hockey program. So my question to Chris McIntosh, the Badgers athletic director, would be, if we know we're going to get a truthful answer from him, is Greg Gard on the hot seat for next year? I think he'll be back next year, but is he on the hot seat? Is he on the hot seat? And I want a truthful answer from him. That's what we get to do with Press Pass. So what would be your Press Pass? You can ask anybody any question in the sports world and get a truthful answer. What would it be? You can hit me up a little bit later on. We mentioned Aaron Jones was on Good Morning Football here this morning. He said about Aaron Rodgers, I hope he is not going anywhere, especially not Vegas. He played with Tay, so I hope that wouldn't happen. He's my quarterback, so I hope he's back. If he's back, we are ready to ball with him. If not, then we have Jordan Love, who's more than capable, and he's ready to ball as well and ready for his shot. I definitely keep seeing that everywhere. The Jets want him, but as of right now, he's in Green Bay. If he comes back and plays, I don't want him going anywhere. You guys, Jets fans, can have one of those veteran quarterbacks. Jimmy G, he's a winner, and they can have him. I like Jimmy G. All right, got a couple minutes left. Let's say good morning to Morgan. Good morning.
Hey, happy Cereal Day.
Is it Cereal Day?
It is Cereal Day. Are you going to celebrate?
No.
What? Don't tell me you don't like cereal. Nobody on the planet hates cereal.
I'm fine with it, but I'm not like Jerry Seinfeld that I got to eat it every day, or my roommate Jake that ate it every single day.
Absolutely, because it's fantastic, and Jake knows what's up.
A lot of sugar in that thing.
And?
I can't. Okay, I like cereal the way I like my cookies. It's got to get a little soggy.
You're kind of a picky dude. Like, you're very particular about clothes. Now
I'm not
cookies.
Particular about clothes.
Now, I think you're particular about everything.
No.
So if you, particular Dan Kasper, are pushing your cart down the aisle, top 2 boxes that you're throwing in there to buy.
Shredded wheat.
What?
Yep.
That's just completely utilitarian cereal. That's like punishment cereal.
Why? When it gets soggy,
without the frosting?
No, with the frosting.
Okay, you're not a monster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Duh.
The giant biscuits that you actually need a pitchfork to eat, like those old school ones.
Let them get a little soggy. It's awesome. The Cocoa Pebbles.
Okay.
Not the fruity ones, the Cocoa Pebbles.
Here's a life hack. I'll tell you this right now. My middle niece, which is like, she's my little basketballer, she's obsessed with it.
Yeah.
We have this program at school where kids can do breakfast if they want to. She kept asking, yeah, I want to do school breakfast. Okay. So my sister was like, that's fine. Go ahead and do school breakfast. Turns out the reason she wanted to do school breakfast was because she was getting Cocoa Pebbles and then
Yeah.
helping herself to chocolate milk.
Yeah,
So
it
she
turns into
was,
chocolate milk.
no, she was pouring
Oh,
chocolate milk
doubling it up.
on the Cocoa
I
Pebbles.
like
So
it.
there's a life hack for you.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
That'll fuel you through the day.
What's my second one though?
What do you think? So you like cocoa, not fruity.
Probably what is it? The graham ones, the honey grams.
Golden grams,
Not golden grams.
honey pops, corn
No,
pops,
What's the brown
Smacks.
sugar one? Like the French toast crunch or something like that.
cinnamon toast crunch.
Cinnamon toast crunch.
There you
Thank
go.
Yes.
That's
yes.
so those are your picks.
Yes.
That's not a bad lineup, but
No.
shredded wheat at the top. That I wouldn't have guessed. That to me is like tiny hay bales for human consumption.
With the frosting on there, when they melt it and they get a little soggy, it's awesome.
So what did Jake eat? If you guys are rooming up, everybody has that one roommate who lives off cereal.
He was Seinfeld. He would just grab and eat it out of the box.
What was
I can't
his favorite?
even try. Honestly, I don't even know because he had so many.
Jake, let us know.
Yeah,
he'll chime in because everybody that has a cereal person in their life knows you burn through the boxes. We always had like the corn pops and frosted flakes, but here's the jam. You got to have it with, if not whole milk, like half and half. It's way better with the thicker
half
whole milk.
and half?
So good. Yes. Golden grams, half and half poured on top. Your life will change.
Have you
Take it
noticed?
from
Have you
me.
ever tried putting like chocolate milk in cereal? It doesn't make it as soggy.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I've
But
noticed that.
my uncle did always eat Fruit Loops on top of vanilla ice cream, which is a form of cereal, really, because dairy. So you're still working with it. What about your little guy? He's not a cereal kid either.
Oh, he's a big cereal kid. He's Fruity Pebbles.
All the way? No Cocoa Pebbles like Dad?
He's
He's
okay.
taking a different route?
He goes in different ways, but right now it's Fruity Pebbles.
Yabba dabba doo. I can get behind that.
Yeah, that's his.
That's
that and Fruit Loops are his top two, probably.
That's a solid choice.
So-
What about Tricks?
I'm not a big Tricks guy.
Okay.
No.
Let
so,
it go then.
Yeah.
They're for kids.
There's fruit in there, so.
They're for kids.
Yeah. All right, second hour kicking off on this Tuesday morning of March 7th. Hopefully, you're all off to a fantastic start. Appreciate you tuning in, however, wherever you may be tuning in. Coming up, we're going to hit up some Badgers here a little bit. We'll deep dive into it more with RJ Cardinal coming up at about 8:25, 8:30 this morning. Also, we got Bucks in action tonight, taking on the Orlando Magic. Right now, Bucks holding on to a 2-game lead over the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference standings. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, too, NBA taking away that rebound from Giannis the other night, so he doesn't get credited for that triple double there. No fun league there. We got some Grind My Gears. If you want to participate in that, you can do so by hitting us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Or hit me up on Twitter at DANKSPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. Let's do some sports nuggets of the day, shall we? Let's go with okay, 1954, the NBA raised the baskets from 10 feet to 12 feet for an exhibition game between the Minneapolis Lakers and the Milwaukee Hawks. Let's go with 1955, baseball commissioner Ford Frick said that he was in favor of legalizing the spitball. New Orleans in 1974 became the 18th NBA franchise. The team was bought by 9 people for $6.15 million. Selection Sunday is coming up this Sunday. Well, it was 1982 that the NCAA college basketball tournament selections were televised for the first time. Let's go. ESPN televised the first live professional football game on cable. The game was between the USFL's Birmingham Stallions and the Michigan Panthers. 1987, Mike Tyson became the youngest heavyweight titleist when he beat James Smith in a decision during a 12-round fight in Las Vegas, Nevada. Let's go 1989. Tom Jordan rolled an 899 for all you bowling fans out there. 899 in a 3-game series. It was the best 3-game series to be recognized by the ABC in league play. 1995, Dominic Wilkins, when he was with Boston, became the 9th NBA player to achieve 25,000 career points. 1996, Magic Johnson became the 2nd player to reach 10,000 assists. And in 1998, with the Rangers, Wayne Gretzky scored his 1,000th NHL goal. He had scored 878 regular season goals and 122 goals in the playoffs. Those are just some of your sports nuggets of the day, brought to you by Ansay Associates. Let's do this. I'm just going to okay, let's do this for your pop quiz question of the day. So we got Selection Sunday coming up this Sunday, March Madness, Bracket Challenge all across the board here. So, your pop quiz question of the day. What men's college basketball team has the most number 1 seeds of all time? Which team, which school has the most NCAA tournament number 1 seeds? Try not to look it up. Try to take a guess. Try not to Google it. Have a little fun with this. Text me your answers, 715-830-1912. We'll hit it up here in just a little bit. Okay. Which college program, which team, again, has the most NCAA tournament number 1 seats? All right. So, speaking of college, moving over to hockey here a little bit. Badgers making a move. Changing of the guard for the men's hockey program. Tony Granato was relieved of his duties yesterday by Chris McIntosh, Badgers athletic director, after 7 seasons at the helm there. So, we'll kind of deep dive into this with RJ Cardinal, but remember, first of all, I couldn't. It was kind of hard to believe it was already 7 years. It's been 7 years because I still feel like it wasn't that long ago when Tony Granato and his all-star coaching staff was hired by Barry Alvarez. Remember, there was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of hype surrounding this kind of hiring, like this group, if you will. And a couple years ago, 1 seed falling short in the tournament, losing right away, Cole Caulfield era, but obviously didn't play up to the expectations I think we all had when this hiring was made. I mean, a lot of money was invested in the coaching staff, trying to get back to prominence. It didn't work, and it's unfortunate. It really is. So the next thing is that, and it's not as easy to kind of try to figure out who's going to be the next head coach. Like who are they going to target? Football, basketball. We know some other coaches out there, right? You got names out there. Hockey might be a little bit of a different thing. So, thanks to the Wisconsin State Journal, Masson.com, they got an article up. 5 names to know for the search for the new Wisconsin men's hockey coach. David Carl is one of the top young coaches in the country with an NCAA championship and 2 Frozen Four appearances in his first 4 seasons leading Denver. That's their first name. Might be a little bit of a tough one to go after because it looks like he does have deep ties to Denver where he was a student assistant. However, he was an assistant with Green Bay Gamblers of the United States Hockey League in his past. They got, Pat Ferschweiler, Western Michigan, headed for their second NCAA tournament trip in as many seasons there. Again, he's a little bit older, about 53 years old. You got Mike Hastings, 6 straight regular season championships at Minnesota State, 4 in the Western Collegiate Hockey Association, and 2 after the rebranding to the Central Collegiate Hockey Association. Brett Larson, St. Cloud State, they're on their way to their 4th NCAA tournament appearance in 5 seasons under Larson. And then Steve Rolick, he's looking at this little right up there. He's had his ups and downs over 10 seasons as coach at Ohio State. But he has typically made the most out of the rosters that don't feature a lot of high draft picks. And he also played for the Badgers back in the day, too. So those are the 5 names that the Wisconsin State Journal, Masson.com, has put up there as potential maybe targets or names to kind of be attached with this Badger coaching job. But as I kind of said a little bit earlier before the top, for our Press Pass Tuesday, if there was one question that I could ask anybody in the sports world, and the easy one would probably be asking Aaron Rodgers or Goody or a Packers one. But I'm going to switch it up here a little bit, and I'm going to go with the Badgers, and I'll go to Chris McIntosh and be like, okay, you hired Luke Fickell. They're going to be hiring a new hockey coach, men's hockey coach. There have been some Badger fans that have kind of speculated, wondered, could Chris McIntosh do something similar with the men's basketball program? On the heels of this firing from Tony Granato, which I don't think is too much of a surprise to a lot of people out there, but I would ask him, going into next year, because I don't think it's going to happen this year, but going into next year, is Greg Gard on the hot seat? Because I don't think Chris McIntosh, and I mean, it's been proven already, he ain't afraid to make some tough decisions, some big decisions. he's got higher goals. He's trying to take this athletic department to the next level, competing, not only competing, but winning national championships. So, and I know he just did this interview, a couple months ago with Jim Polzine from the Wisconsin State Journal, kind of had Greg Gard's back. And Jim Polzine, even kind of phrased it the same ways, like, fans are wondering, will Luke, or excuse me, will McIntosh do the same thing with the basketball program like they did with the football program? And I mean, if memory serves me correct too, McIntosh kind of, had Paul Chryst back, but then things changed, right? Obviously, things changed. So I would want to know truthfully, and we will never know truthfully, but that's why we get to do press pass. We have a little fun with that. That would be the question I would like to know and get a truthful answer on. Is Greg Gard, is this kind of a put up or shut up type of season coming up here? Because when you listen or when you read some of the comments from Tony Granato yesterday, who did talk to the media, he kind of said it wasn't a big surprise. And if you kind of read some of his comments, it kind of makes sense that, or you could kind of read between the tea leaves, if you will, that maybe he was given an ultimatum or like, hey, you got to show us this year. You got to show us something this year. It kind of seemed like maybe he kind of knew that. And I'll be curious to know, like, is there going to be something similar for Greg Gard next year? Because there is a lot of frustration among Badgers fans with this hoops program, right? Obviously, no doubt about it. And right now, if you look at bracketology out there, prevailing thought is they're on the outside looking in. And they're going to need a long or a deep postseason run. I shouldn't say postseason run. Big Ten Conference tournament run to get into the big dance. And it starts tomorrow. I don't have a confidence they can. Anybody got the confidence that they can? So, all right, you ready for your answers? Let's see. I'm going to scroll because we got quite a few. We got quite a few answers here. Surveyor and Evil Surveyor. Are you guys like sitting next to each other or something because you both picked UCLA? Ken from up north. Ken, it's great meeting you the other day, by the way. That's a good one. We're going to go Kansas. Another texter saying UCLA. We got a UCLA. We got a LSU. Bloomer Tony. Is it Kansas? My first thought was Virginia, but I'm pretty sure that isn't right. Big Worm. It has to be one of the blue blood teams. I'll say these are the top 5: UNC, Kentucky, Duke, Kansas, Syracuse. Well, according to NCAA.com, only one person got it right, and that would be Big Worm. It is North Carolina. North Carolina, 17 number 1 seeds. 17 of those babies there. Kansas, 15. They would have been number 2. This is according to NCAA.com. So, nice work, Big Worm. Good job. Attaboy. Okay, let's take a quick break here, and we'll get back to some more green and gold chat here. We'll talk with Joe, but I'm curious. What would be your other press pass questions out there? What would be your other press pass questions out there? We got a lot of them that we could ask out there, right? A lot of them. So, but we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes talking a little bit more football here this morning. Have you figured out what you're doing with your tax returns yet this year? Man, maybe some of you paying off some bills or expenses. That's reasonable. I get it. But what else is reasonable is making sure that you also treat yourself once in a while. So, can I make a helpful suggestion here? How about heading to Tilden Gun and finally upgrading that deer rifle or turkey shotgun of yours? Because remember, next month, turkey season, people. Let's be honest here. You've been thinking about getting that new 270 or 12 gauge for a while now. Because really, when was the last time you updated that hunting firearm of yours? It's probably been so long you can't even remember. So save a little bit of money from those tax returns this year and head on over to the locally owned and family operated Tilden Gun. They'll help you find that hunting firearm that you're looking for. And the best part is that you won't have to use all of your tax return money because Tilden Gun has the best prices and deals in the area. Whether you're looking for a new firearm or want to check out some used firearms, Tilden Gun has a wide selection to choose from, and no pushy salespeople to get you something that you don't want. Experience it for yourself. Just visit tildengun.com and visit their shop at 12427 90th Avenue, Chippewa Falls. For a lot of you had picked UCLA in our pop quiz, Tuesday pop quiz question. A little side note why it wasn't UCLA. I'm sure a lot of you picked them because of John Wooden and all the championships. Tournament didn't start seeding until 1979. So that's for a lot of you, that was the majority of the pick for our pop quiz question. So I wanted to kind of throw that out there why it wasn't UCLA. They didn't start seeding until 1979. So just a little bit of a nugget there. Good press pass question from Sam. Press pass question to Chris McIntosh. If you fire a great guard, who is that coach you want to come in? Who's that coach that is at the top of the candidate list? So keep those coming. Those are some good ones out there. We'll get more coming up here in just a little bit. We're going to get back to some more green and gold chat here with Joseph here. So, Joseph, where's your Rogers meter at this morning after the last 24 hours or so? Which way are you leaning towards right now?
It is so close to 50-50, man. I got to tell you, and you hear Trey Wingo saying that now Rodgers has gotten permission from the Packers to talk to the Jets. The New York Post posts that Aaron is their number one choice for the Jets. So then you hear Rich Eisen talk about what he heard at the combine, that Green Bay really, really does not want him back. And so I would say right now, I've been teetering on that 50-50 line, but I'm going to go 60% now that he is not a Green Bay Packer.
So, you mentioned the Rich Eisen thing, and we played that clip earlier this morning here. It's almost been a year since Rodgers signed that new contract where the Packers committed to him. That contract obviously shows Green Bay gave him the commitment he was looking for. Preseason training camp, he said he was going to retire as a Packer. What an HE double hockey sticks happened in this past year, do you think, where both sides, or at least the Packers, are really, really frustrated with Aaron Rodgers right now?
From some of the reports that I'm hearing, and Tom Silverstein with the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel is truly, I think, one of the more closely in tune guys with what's happening at 1265. And he said that, sorry, Captain, I'm fighting a cold today. He said that the Packers didn't feel that Aaron really committed this past year, and obviously the play on the field and the results on the field didn't match the expectations. And so I think when you have a situation like that maybe the player didn't commit, or at least the organization didn't feel like he committed as much as he could have, and then you don't have the results on the field, you start wondering and scratching your head, whoops, did we hit the cliff and didn't realize it was coming so fast? So I think it was a combination of a couple of things. I think it was how this last off season went with Aaron Rodgers, and then obviously the results on the field. And I know a lot of people have said that the Packer organization saw a lot out of Jordan Love over the last year as well. So that might have something to do with it. But I think this is more about Aaron Rodgers than it is about Jordan Love. And previously I used to say, this is going to come down to Jordan Love. But it just seems to me that, and again, I'm not going to take it the Bob McGinn route, and you and I talked about that. I don't think there's any disgust by the organization of Rodgers, but I do think that maybe there was a little bit of, you could have done a little bit more this off season to meet us in the middle and maybe make this season more successful. And so I think that those are some of the things in my mind that have led to this mind shift from the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I agree with you there too. And I know some people have been saying it's like, well, it's Trey Wingo and all that. I'll remind people, Trey Wingo was the one who called the Randall Cobb thing that Aaron Rodgers wanted Randall Cobb back in Green Bay, and look what happened. Randall Cobb was traded back to Green Bay, so don't diminish what Trey Wingo's hearing out there either. So there's
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you saw. I mean, look, Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers have at least started exploring now officially. Once you give a player permission, and obviously Aaron Rodgers would not have had the ability to talk to Robert Saleh and that organization if the Packers didn't give him permission because he is under contract. And so, in my mind, that news alone says that Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers are up to exploring other options.
Yeah, I agree. You're exactly right because they can't do it without permission there, and that's coming from permission from Green Bay, which tells me maybe the most important thing is that, yeah, Green Bay is definitely maybe a little bit more open than in years past about trading their quarterback. Which, man, who would have thought? I mean, you're probably having some deja vu. We all are if we were around then or old enough to remember about Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback for the Packers now going to be maybe suiting it up for a different shade of green. I want to know if Joe Namath is he willing to give up the 12 for a year or two for Aaron?
You know what? I thought it's interesting. I thought about that today because the other number that I could see Aaron going for would be his college number 8.
Yep.
And so that was the other number I thought, you know what? If Aaron does go and 12 stays retired, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he goes back to his Cal days and puts on the number 8. But I think this is coming to a head over the next day or two. I think we're probably going to hear something definitive. The fact that Aaron has permission to talk to the Jets tells you for sure he's not retiring, at least in my opinion. That's what it says. It says that we're going to explore other options. We're going to look at these other avenues. And again, with Derek Carr signing with the Saints, Geno Smith getting a big deal with Seattle. Right now, when you look around the available quarterbacks, Daniel Jones is deep in negotiation. And of course, Rich Eisen also reported that Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, it is not pretty there. But I think right now, if you're the New York Jets and you're that ownership group and you want a veteran, Aaron Rodgers is the logical choice.
I think what Aaron should do if he gets traded to the Jets and really troll everybody is to put on his old Butte college number, which was number 4. Shout out to Favre. Really troll people that way.
That would be the ultimate troll. You are correct. That would be the ultimate troll. And you know what? Knowing Rodgers, it certainly wouldn't put it past. But also, I think he doesn't want to be compared to Brett Favre. And if you see that number 4 in a Jets uniform, there's going to be that natural comparison. So it'll be interesting. But like I said, I think we're going to get some resolution on this. My prediction is before Thursday, we're going to hear something definitive.
So if that does happen, obviously now the Packers, the other part of this whole thing, they'll have to make a decision about when to take that dead cap money. And we were kind of going through it a little bit earlier on this morning. It's going to be about $40 million in dead cap space. Now the Packers could do that whole thing post June 1st, where it will be like a $15-some million cap hit this year, but $24 million, $24.5 million in 2024. Now there's positives and negatives, I think, to both sides of this, Joe. If they wait till that post June 1st, then they can use some of that cap space if they want on their incoming draft class. Or do you do all the dead cap hit now because Jordan Love's contract is cheaper? If you pick up that 5th-year option, that 5th-year option is going to be about $20-some million guaranteed in 2024. So let me ask you, you're Goody. Do you do the post June 1st, or do you take all that dead cap money now and have a clean slate starting next year?
You take the dead cap now.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to make that trade and you're going to move forward, you move forward. You for a lot of reasons. You get it done. You rip the Band-Aid off, and then, like you said, you've got the 5th-year guarantee. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if Aaron Rodgers is traded, that now there's a renegotiation of Jordan Love's deal, because you don't want your first-year quarterback hanging on a thread on a 1-year deal. And so you rip the Band-Aid off now. You get it done. You take the dead cap hit. Do what you need to do. And, of course, the Green Bay Packers actually lose $10 million in cap space this year once they do trade Aaron Rodgers. So I think you just get it done now, move forward, and make that move. And so yeah, I don't see them if they're going to do it. I don't see this thing lingering. I see it getting done. I see it getting done quickly, and I see it getting done all in this year, so that you don't have any kind of a bad stink or any kind of a hangover, if you will, next year when Jordan Love takes over, or
With
excuse me, this year, but next year when he's under that bigger deal.
mhm. With the combine wrapped up now, and with all this kind of going on, Joseph, if Jordan Love's a starter, does that change, or how much does it change, do you think, the Packers draft process, or maybe who they have on their big board?
I don't think it really does. I look at, who do they re-sign at that point? Then do they make a bigger effort on a Robert Tunyon? There's been a lot of speculation that the Packers are going to let both Tunyon and Lazard kind of take a look at what's out there, but having a big tight end who knows this offense, who you're familiar with, that's got to be a big benefit for a first-time starting quarterback. So I don't think it changes the draft board at all. I think you still look and say, look, we still got to fortify the safety position. We still got to make a move probably at the tight end position. Outside edge rusher is still something that you got to make a priority, and then you can never have too many offensive linemen or defensive linemen. So I think if it's Jordan Love or Aaron Rodgers, I think the draft board stays the same. I think the free agency, from a priority standpoint, may shift a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be a seismic shift from a free agency standpoint if it's Love versus Aaron Rodgers.
All right, Joe, before I let you go and rest up that voice here, with the combine over and in the books, did anybody kind of jump out to you from what you saw or what you read from the combine in terms of maybe a potential Packers target with one of their early picks?
You know what? I will tell you, and I love Brian Branch, and I know he did not have a great combine, ran in the 4.59, 4.6, and then I started looking at Leroy Butler's combine, and he ran a 4.57. And when you look at the splits of a Brian Branch, and you look at a little bit more of the explosive types of things, the broad jump, the vertical, I'm still a big Brian Branch fan. And when you look at Leroy Butler, his playing speed, he was so smart and so instinctive out there that it made up for that 4.57. And so I look at a guy like Branch who runs a 4.59. I think the unofficial was a 4.58. That's a guy who I still have circled on my draft board, and I think Green Bay does as well, as they did have a formal interview with him. I think he's a guy that is definitely on Green Bay's radar. And don't get me wrong, the 4.6 scares me a little bit, but when you start looking at guys and comparisons, when you do your draft work and you see a Leroy Butler out there running a 4.58, 4.57, and then you start making those comparisons, I don't think Green Bay would mind at all if Brian Branch is available and he becomes the next Leroy Butler.
Yeah, I even saw, I think it was one of his performance ratings. I think it was on NFL Next Gen Stats, because he's technically listed as a corner because he could play the slot there, but he was rated number one from all the cornerbacks on there. And this is a safety prospect, too. So kind of that Swiss Army knife type of role.
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. And look, I just think he's so smart and so instinctive, and the intangibles you love about a guy like that, and that's definitely a position of need for Green Bay. If Brian Branch is there, whether or not you get the Jets pick, and whatever the case may be, I think you got to take that guy. I love Van Ness from Iowa. I think he would be an outstanding pick, and I still love this tight end class. I think there's several tight ends out of this class that are going to make an impact. But right now, my number one guy is still Brian Branch.
All right, Joseph. Well, you rest up that voice, because we've got a long offseason coming up, and we got free agency starting next week. So you rest up, and let's hit it hard next week, okay there, big guy?
All right, brother. Take care, man.
You got it. There you go. There's Joseph DeGuano joining us here this morning for just a little bit there. All right. Tell you what, let's take a quick break and do a little Grind My Gears Tuesday. Want to do that? Let's do that. What's grinding your gears, people? Hit me up with text, tweet, Facebook, comment on the video post there if you'd like. We'll finish that up. Then we got a little hockey talk with the Triple Steel. Good weekend from them. That playoff chase, it's getting close, baby. Price, quality, and customer service. That's the big three I look for when I'm looking to get a big old project done. And sometimes it can be hard to find all those three in one place. But when it comes to replacing your flooring, one place hits all three of my marks. Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Man, I love everybody over there at Carpet City Flooring Center. They hit the pricing mark because they will match or beat that competition if you happen to find a better deal elsewhere. Quality is pretty darn easy because they have all the best and top-of-the-line flooring options you could ask for. They carry the best brands in carpet tile, luxury vinyl, so much more. Customer service. I don't got enough time here to talk to you about all that customer service because they are easily one of the best, most courteous, helpful, and friendly staffs you could work with. They're with you through every step of the process, from finding that floor that fits your budget and what looks and, well, what works best in your home or office. You know what? Taking on big projects can be a little bit nervous to think about, but when it comes to replacing your flooring, that nervousness goes away with the help from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. So much so, my own grandma's going to be going back to Carpet City here in a couple weeks and getting some new carpet from them. Got some last year. She's going back here in a couple weeks too. So if grandma likes them, everybody likes them. Grandma endorsed. All right, let's do a little grind my gears to finish up this second hour. All right, so let's we got Mike, and Mike, hey, that's not a bad one here too. Mike saying, I guess what's grinding my gears the most is that it's getting to be towards the middle of March. The Packers, for a third year in a row, have no idea who their quarterback will be. Yeah, between Rodgers and Love, yeah, but probably don't have a good idea. Speaking of which, I just saw, is it Zach Rosenblatt from The Athletic, who covers the Jets for The Athletic? He has confirmed Trey Wingo's report. The Jets and Aaron Rodgers did speak yesterday, per sources. However, Rodgers still hasn't made a decision about his future yet, though. What the heck, guy? I mean, come on. I know, and I'm one of those two that preached it, but Favre took longer. But I mean, you've got some stuff that are hanging in the balance right now in terms of like what the Packers can do and maybe what some of these other teams can do and that sort of thing. I think one nugget here too is that I was reading here that whoever acquires Aaron Rodgers has to have like $60 million in cap space on the day of that trade. It can be restructured the next day, but that space must exist on day one. So I was looking at the cap space for the Jets. They're struggling. I mean, right now, according to Over the Cap, they're like $1 million over the cap. So they would have to do, some serious moving around. I was trying to play around with the Spot Track manager roster option there, and I've got it to where they've released 7 players right now, and I'm at about $55.2 million available in cap space. But that's releasing C.J. Mosley, Carl Lawson, John Franklin Myers, Dwayne Brown, Corey Davis, Jordan Whitehead. I did put Tyler Conklin on there, but that was only about a $1.4 million in cap space. But that's the other thing too. That's where you're hearing people like Andrew Brand, I thought, had a great point yesterday. If the Packers want a higher draft pick or they want a lot of draft pick compensation in return, they may have to pay that team that's taking on Aaron Rodgers some of that money for that $60 million. The more you pay, the better the compensation's going to be. That's the other factor in this thing too. It's not easy. It's not Madden game easy. But I feel like this is going to start to pick up here a little bit more. We're going to start to see some more smoke. We're going to start to see some more rumors and reports. I feel like in the next couple days, we're going to kick it into gear here a little bit. Whether any of that is true or not, we'll see. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on. Going to be a lot of stuff going on. All right. Grind my gear. You know what? I really don't have a lot that's, I guess at this current point, that's grinding my gears. You know, the easy one is to throw in the Aaron Rodgers thing, but I feel like we're doing that every time. And so, you know, I kind of want to go away from, you know, I was trying to think of something else besides Aaron Rodgers or the Packers in that essence. But I guess you know what? No, because I'll say this. What's grinding my gears here is that, and I'm gonna go after Aaron. And I you know what? As a player, and for the years that we've seen Aaron Rodgers quarterback in the Green Bay Packers, it's been a privilege. It's been special. A lot of good moments. But I will say this. And this might just be speculation. We don't really know what's going on inside the walls of 1265. But he wanted the Packers to commit to him. He wanted to see some commitment. And what grinds my gears is that Green Bay did that. They gave him a god-awful contract in terms of helping out the team. They did that last year. When you look at it, it is awful in terms of the team. And remember, a year ago this year, there was that whole, is it $50 million a year? And then, Aaron was kind of going through his talking person of Pat McAfee and saying, well, actually, it's helping out the team in terms of, clearing some cap space and going after free agents and that sort of thing. I mean, it was a big PR push. But now you look at it and it's like, dude. So the team committed to you, but you wouldn't commit to the team in the offseason, showing up for workouts or showing up, maybe spending some extra time. And hey, I've been one of those. I'll raise my hand. I have been one of those that has said, okay, I think maybe the offseason stuff's getting a little bit, over exaggerated such. Favre did it. Other guys did it. That sort of thing. But I understand it from the Packers side of things that if that was part of like, hey, we're going to commit to you, you commit to us. And if they feel like he didn't get that or fill that end of the bargain or kind of took advantage of that, yeah, that would grind my gears a little bit too. And the thing is, for me, what I don't understand is, all right, dude, you don't want to do off-season stuff. You want to do whatever. Cool. Awesome. You know what? You're Aaron freaking Charles Rodgers. You can you got a lot of say. You got a lot of push. You can kind of do whatever, you want to do. So, if you do get traded to the Jets, are you not going to show up for off-season stuff? Like let's say the Packers said, "Hey, Aaron, if you want to come back, thumbs up. Let's run it back. However, you need to come and put in some time." And if Aaron says no to that, I want to be traded. Is he going to say no to that to the other team too? I mean, like, let's say it is the Jets. Is he not going to show up early and work out with some brand new receivers because it's all about developing chemistry? It's all about, getting the timing down, earning that trust. Is he not going to put in the time there? And if he does, dude, why didn't you do that in Green Bay? I don't get it. And you know what? We never will. We probably never will know the whole, thinking process. And I know sometimes it's kind of dangerous to think about trying to get into Aaron Rodgers' mind. But that's the other thing that just kind of like has been bugging me is that, let's say the Packers went to Rodgers this offseason, said, you want to run it back? Let's do it. We need you to commit. Come in, put in some extra time. And he says, and if he said no, And that's what's kind of leading towards this divorce, that where Green Bay wants a little bit more of a commitment, and Aaron's like, nah, I like my off seasons. And he gets traded, but he does that for the Jets? Dude. Then I think it was like, what? What? It doesn't make sense to me. Like, what in the world happened from a year ago to now, where the team showed him that commitment, but did he take advantage of it a little bit? I am a little frustrated with the whole situation. I wanted a storybook ending. I wanted a storybook ending in this whole thing. Riding off in the sunset wearing the green and gold. Not playing for another team. I wanted that. And right now, I feel like it's not going to happen. So as a fan, it's a little sad, a little disappointed. So, all right, we got a couple minutes to the top there. We're going to kick it off here in a few minutes. We'll catch up with our good friends from the Steel there. Big weekend from them. That points chase is getting pretty darn close right now in terms of trying to get a playoff spot here. So we got some good hockey coming down the wire here. And then at the bottom of the hour, we'll catch up with our good buddy, Mr. RJ Cardinal. What's the chatter like down in Madtown with the firing of Tony Granato? Is he hearing about any potential, or is there any names that he's kind of maybe got his eyes on to fill in that role, to fill in that spot? And then, of course, the Big Ten Conference Tournament starting tomorrow. Badgers taking on Ohio State. They've got the first game 5:30. How many games do the Badgers have to win to get into that tournament? How many they got to win? 1, 2, 3, the whole thing? If you're looking at it, Joe Lenardi from ESPN in his bracketology, he updated it yesterday. His first 4 out does include Wisconsin now. So even with that win against Minnesota, wasn't an impressive win. Can you blame them? I can't. Jerry Palm also has Wisconsin as first 4 out. He updated his, it looks like, this morning. All right, so how many wins? Sitting there at 17 and 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, all, none, doesn't matter. Well, we'll talk to RJ about that. But you can continue to send me your grind my gears with text, tweet, Facebook, comment on the video stream if you'd like. Keep you posted if anything else kind of pops up from this morning. But I got a feeling, maybe we're getting closer. Maybe getting a little bit closer. All right, we got 2 hours in. 1 more to go. Some quick news updates, and we'll hit it up. Talking some hockey to kick off the third and final hour for this morning. Stay tuned. We'll be back after these quick words. All right, final hour kicking off this morning, this Tuesday morning. It is a Grind My Gears Tuesday. We've got a couple more Grind My Gears texts to get to. We'll get to those in just a little bit. It's a little bit more referring to, again, a quarterback that wears 12. Maybe we'll be switching his shade of green later on this week here. So you're a Giants fan. What do you think about all that?
The Jets they're just comical. I mean, it's just, it feels like they just did this with Brett Favre about 15 years ago.
Yeah, it is.
And they haven't had a quarterback in between. So
no, it's like I was saying too. It's like 2 years ago they drafted Zach Wilson second overall, and they're already ready to move on from him. And Jordan Love was actually drafted a year before Zach Wilson, and now Green Bay is like ready to hand it to him. Kind of two different things.
Been learning and studying from, one of the best. So I think a little different where he's potentially at. But
right, yep. So, the drama never ends, man. Never ends. So, well, I mean, you got your own quarterback thing that you got to be kind of wondering about with Daniel Jones over there too. Is he want $45 million a year, or there's that kind of being floated out there too? So,
I don't know. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. It's more than a lot of guys. So,
yeah. Hey, strike when the iron's hot. I can't blame him for starting off high and kind of taking a look at that.
That's
so,
right.
But hey, we got a text in saying awesome crowds last weekend for the Steel games, and it was a good weekend for you guys too, taking down Janesville and really making that points chase pretty darn interesting here coming down the home stretch, man.
Yeah,
good weekend. First of all, congrats.
Yeah, thank you. It was, it was, and one of probably our best, 120-minute performances on a weekend, in a while. And it's a positive. I mean, seeing a lot of guys, especially some of these younger first-year guys, really starting to understand, what we're talking about and what we're trying to do. And also, it feels like after talking to some of them, like the game has finally started to slow down a little bit, where they feel comfortable making a play, or holding on to it for a little bit, because the biggest thing is just that internal clock catching up to the actual pace of what's going on, right? So we stress just doing things quickly all the time, because it's kind of how you have to play. But you also, at the end of the day, you have to be able to slow things down and see things, and that takes some time. So it's a positive, and it was a huge weekend for us, and just want to keep the momentum going.
Yeah, was it? I saw on your Twitter account 6 straight home wins too, the longest going on in the NAHL right now. So
those are things that I don't even really.
You don't pay attention to those. No. That's a Kyle job over there looking at that stuff. So,
and I'm more of like hey, let's just not talk about some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's good to see. Great graphic he did. He's unbelievable at that. So
well, the home crowd's got to love that too.
Yeah, the crowds this weekend were honestly our two best. I mean, especially playing on a Friday, Saturday night back to back. We usually see kind of a drop off, to be expected, right? I mean, who wants to go to 2 games on the same weekend? But the crowds are outstanding both nights, and I think it's just gonna, with how the rest of the season is kind of set up and them split up. I mean, we were on the road for 2 more, and now then back home, then Alaska, then then the last 2, and then as we've talked about a lot, hopefully playoff games, I think it's just going to keep ramping up, which is awesome.
Yeah. Kind of looking at everything. First of all, before we get into it, how did the jerseys go auction over there?
Yeah, it went well. I mean, I think it's a little different. There was no charity involved, right? So, but they all sold, and I think people really liked the greens. I think that's the first time we wore the greens at home. So, yeah, it was good.
You get superstitious in that, since you're wearing the first time greens at home. Was there any superstition involved in it? No, you're not one of those either, huh?
No, it's too
much of a mind.
It's too much
mind game there.
Yeah,
I like that.
I'm not going to allow what I eat or what I do to
I wish I had your
hold
mindset,
over
man.
me. I can't let it hold over me.
I'm the biggest superstitious person in the world. I used to be, but
Doc, our assistant, he's fairly superstitious.
Really?
He likes to
what does he do?
repeat. Well, I just when things go well, he likes to repeat them. You know.
Okay, yeah.
I can see that, but I don't know. It's a long year.
Mm-hmm. I'm the dumbest superstitious person because I'll wear the jersey the whole year. Be like, oh, I got to wear it on Sunday. They could have lost 3 games in a row, but it's like, no, I got to wear that same one. Can't wash it or something like that. Doesn't guarantee anything. They lost like 3 or 4 in a row. So, but Milk Can Trophy coming home too, which is a big thing.
Yeah, first time.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's exciting stuff. I mean, there's, I don't know if but besides that COVID year, that there's been games of this magnitude at this point in the season. So.
Right. So looking at, I mean, we mentioned points wise, you're just 3 back from 4th place Kenai, 7 points back from Fairbanks, but yet they've got 3 games on you too here. I mean, you guys have put yourselves in a position to really climb it up here in the points race. You're at Springfield and then you're at the Wilderness coming up here the next couple of weeks here. But taking a look at that, you mentioned you don't pay attention to the home wins and that. You do pay attention to the points in the standings though a little bit. You and your team do, I have to imagine.
Yeah, it's again, I've said it before. It's we're not shy about talking about what's going on. I mean, it's just I think it's important. I think it's important to know the outlook and the lay of the land and what it's going to take. I mean, we have in our locker room now, I think there was 17 games left in the season, and I printed them out and the dates and each opponent, and it's on a piece of paper in the locker room, and there's a box, and it either gets a W or an L. And it's like, when you think of 17 games, that sounds like a lot, but you put it on a piece of paper and it's not all that many, right? Yeah. So I think just visually seeing something like that in a different way, it hopefully it's forced a little bit more urgency. And that's what we've been talking about for a while is, the standing that we're in. I mean, we're in the playoffs already, right? I mean, that's just been our mentality, and hopefully we can get into a spot where maybe we have a game or two that is not the most important game of the year before playoffs, but that's just how the season has gone, right? And we're looking at these games coming up as, again, it's kind of the same thing, and have to be able to play with desperation.
You're looking at your upcoming schedule here. I mean, it's kind of like about a month or a little and some change here, but you're at Springfield coming up this weekend, and that's the only team left on your schedule that's behind you in the standings. So, I mean, you've got, after this weekend, a chance to really make up some ground. And I don't want to, and like you've talked about it too, like don't overlook Springfield. They're a team that's, they can give you some fits over there too, but is that a message that you're kind of telling your team here with going up against Springfield, or you plan on telling them like they may be behind us in the standings, but maybe don't overlook them?
Yeah, and I mean we just played them, so like we know how good they are, and yeah, the thing is like sometimes you play those teams underneath you, and obviously being in 7th, there's only one, but like those are games that you need to win. Like the teams above you, it's like you expect to win, hopefully, if you're going to make it up and climb. But those teams below you, I mean, you feel like you have to win those ones, to continue to create separation and keep the gap what it is with the teams above you. But yeah, I mean, we just played them 4 games, not too long ago, so we're pretty familiar with them, and they're well coached and they play hard. And again, I expect them to be fully ready, and we're going to have to play, some of our best hockey.
Right. And then you try not to look too far ahead down the road there, because, I mean, you got, and you've mentioned it many times, kind of a game by game approach here, but it's hard not to kind of take a little bit of a gander and see these standings and this opportunity to get into that, top 4, top 3 spot right here too. What's the mindset of like your team right now? Or what's the mentality? Is it a loose locker room right now, even though you're chasing that spot? Is it, a little bit tight to focus? How would you describe it?
I think it's I don't want to say loose because I think that has a negative connotation, but I think we're confident. I think we feel good about how we're playing. Yesterday was kind of a light day where we're at that point in the season where guys are banged up and got to manage that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think we feel good. Obviously, the results help, and we're playing the game the right way. I would like for us to continue to improve on that. I think Friday night is a game where the shots are 42-20 and it's a 3-2 like grind it out, like kind of bite your nails kind of game where I felt we played well enough that should have been not an easy win, but a game where we can just kind of roll and play everybody and not be stressed about a 1-goal game. And that's on us continuing to execute and finish our chances. Saturday night's a little bit different story. It was a good game. Janesville was a lot better. I think they would self-admit that. And it was a back and forth game. And Adam was very good back there for us, and we played well. And that's what you expect most nights. But when you play the way you do on Friday night, you kind of hope that game is a game where you can continue to play everybody down the stretch, and you have a little bit of a lead where you feel good with that. So hopefully we can just continue to improve upon the 2 results.
Yeah. Does it kind of, and I think everybody's maybe a little bit different in a sense, but like the fact that you have more road games than home games down this stretch, and the fact that you're going to Alaska coming up here, you guys are going to be with each other like nonstop. Could you see that as a positive in a sense that you're making up some ground, you're just on the outside there, but you're going to be spending a lot of time with each other, especially going to Alaska? Could you see that as a positive for your team down this stretch?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've got some high school kids that'll be joining us as well after this weekend is the the state tournament over in Minnesota. So as soon as that's over, some guys will be coming. I think that'll be important for them, to really get ingrained in the team and kind of the culture right away. And I think going on the road always helps that. So, and that'll be an interesting trip for those guys having never done it, and just being on the road for 14 days is not something that these kids have really had the experience of doing before unless they've done it. But yeah, I mean, listen, I don't really care where we play. It doesn't matter to me or us. And I think there are some benefits of getting on the bus and being on the road, and there's benefits of sleeping in your own bed and being at home. Right. So there was a stretch there where we weren't very good at home, and now we've been pretty good at home. And I don't know what's changed, but yeah, I mean, I think it's just a really exciting opportunity for us to have kind of clawed back into this thing. We feel like we're a good team, and feel like we deserve to be in the playoffs, but you get what you get, right? So we just want to keep working hard and giving ourselves a chance to win.
You mentioned a little bit earlier about kind of slowing it down. The game's been slowing it down for players, and I think a lot of us have heard that in different arenas or different sports. The game has slowed down in that. I've heard it mostly like in pro sports, but like, would it be similar, because these are youngsters, these are kids, and that when you say it's slowed down for them, what does that mean for a youngster, in your opinion, or a younger player, in this league? Is it just adapting to the speed of the play? Is it kind of what you mentioned too, maybe getting a little bit more comfortable, maybe a little bit looser in that sense?
I think it's a combination of all those things. I think it's, it's a feeling that if you've never played hockey, it's a little bit because things are happening just very quickly all the time. And, we talk a lot about taking care of the puck and managing the puck and all those things. And guys don't want to create turnovers. Right. So, when you feel like things are happening quickly, you may not hold on to the puck as long. And then in turn, you're not making any plays.
Right.
That are going to result in scoring chances or goals or whatever. Right. But now when you feel a little bit more confident and the game is slowing down, when you get it you might hold on to it for a little bit longer because you feel like you know what's going on, you know where everybody is. You're going to take a couple strides and then try and make the play. So, that is obviously a huge development for guys as far as, being able to contribute on on the score sheet, right? And we're looking for that secondary scoring to continue to improve. We have a handful of guys who have kind of carried the mail for us production wise at different points in the season. But as the games get tougher and tighter and the matchups are a little bit more defined, that's they talk about all the time. You need some depth and you need some secondary scoring, and it's nice that some of these guys, that are playing in those roles are starting to feel a little bit more confident.
Before I kind of get off topic here a little bit for you, but you mentioned you just got done playing Springfield. You got them coming up here. Do you change your approach? Do you change your game plan going up against them this time? Do you take away anything from your last couple series against them?
We don't change a whole lot of the, I'd say, the overall aspect of excuse me, of how we're trying to play. There will be some set things that we'll adjust, some breakouts and stuff like that, but for the most part, I've said it before, I think us playing the best way that we can play is more important than adjusting to other teams. So we want teams to have to adjust to us.
So I got to ask you, we were kind of talking a little bit about it off the air here, but with Tony Granato being let go, you do have a couple players who are committed to Wisconsin. As you're their current coach. I'm not asking you to kind of like give us any like inside info. Have they come to you and talked about it or anything like that? But is that something, as for your coach in the position that you're in right now, do you talk to your players about that? Because I got to imagine they're kind of wondering like, oh, I wonder what that's going to be like. And yet you want them to focus on your team right now too. Is that something that you've kind of thought about a little bit, or?
Yeah. I mean, it's, I think this is probably the first instance that, I've had of this. First off, Tony Granato's an unbelievable person and coach, and it's never fun to see someone lose their job. I mean, I've had nothing but great interactions with him and wish him all the best. And, it's just, it's an interesting thing. I mean, Wisconsin obviously is a prime time destination for kids. I don't know if anybody's going to be, in a huge hurry to change that. But I think it's going to depend a lot on who the next coach that comes in there will be, and what those conversations look like. And, for me and for coaches, I mean, that's a big first kind of domino to fall in the ever changing coaching landscape, as essentially kind of the first off day of the summer for college hockey. Right. I mean, this past weekend was the first round of playoffs. For the most part, everybody's making playoffs. So, that happening on day one is going to, I think, set, a lot of things kind of in motion. So it's, I think last summer was pretty unprecedented with, Michigan, Michigan State, Boston College, and Boston University all changing head coaches. I mean, between BU and BC, Jerry York and Scott, the guys before him, Quinn and Parker, like those jobs have been held for 35 years,
right.
and for, those four to be open in one summer was just insane. And, so yeah, it's kind of a multifaceted, issue that goes on, but yeah, for our players, we talk all the time just about just being where you are and controlling what you can control. And, it doesn't matter if you're committed to a school or not by now, until you get there and they give you the jersey, you're not there yet. So you got to continue to improve, and that really shouldn't change with coaching changes.
Yeah, it'll be kind of interesting to kind of see, because as you mentioned, it's a premier spot for college hockey still, right? I mean,
I mean, the Big Ten, in my opinion, is where you want to be. I mean, the money, the way that they're treated, it's kind of I don't think there's a real close second. I mean, the hockey is maybe a different story, but just the schools and the athletic departments and the resources that, one would have.
Mm-hmm.
There are some articles that came out yesterday with some lists of guys. I mean,
Yeah.
Every one of them is a Division I head coach at another school. I don't know how accurate that list is, or it's just projecting, but I'm sure there'll be some other names that are in the mix. But that to me is a place where there's probably only a handful of schools that you would feel comfortable turning down, or not even willing to have a conversation with them. So
Right.
it'll be very interesting to see how that goes.
Definitely. So, Chipwood Steel, after coming off of a great weekend against Janesville, they're going to be at the road for the next couple of weeks, but we'll take this series by series, visiting Springfield, starting up on the 10th and the 11th. And then, after that, it's the Wilderness. And then one of their final two home series going up against Wisconsin at the end of the month before you guys head over to Alaska.
That's
trip,
a Thursday, Friday.
So put it on the schedules, baby. Get it. We got preps. Sports season's kind of wrapping up here and that. So especially for your next home game, we'll pack that arena and make sure you get some W's over there too. So got some. Well, you guys set the bar high this past weekend. So we'll do that. So best of luck this weekend, Coach, and continuing bringing back some W's and climbing up in that points chase. You got it.
Thanks.
We got a quick break here. Then we'll talk more hockey. Badgers wise with RJ Cardinal coming up in just a few minutes. All right, let's continue our hockey talk, bringing in our Badger analyst, Mr. R.J. Cardinal, down in Madison. As we were kind of joking off the air there, R.J., something actually happened with the Badgers before we talk, and we're not just, as you said, speculating or talking about it after, too far after the fact. But Tony Granato, no longer the head coach of the men's hockey team. My first question to you, R.J., were you at least a little surprised how quick it happened? I mean, shortly after, playoffs and that, were you at least a little surprised how quick it happened, or not really?
I guess I could say a little bit, but I mean, I guess in this point in time, you're getting ready for NCAAs. It's going to turn into a scenario where, as teams bow out or their seasons are finished, you were going to start interviewing head coaches and reaching out to, I'd say head coaches, but I mean, who knows where it could come from. But you now have the luxury of having a little more time to be able to, start reaching out, whether they're assistants at the NHL level or assistants at the NCAA level, or even some head coaches out there, at least start putting feelers out. And, maybe those interviews don't take place until after the NCAA tournament here. But that's also, something you have to deal with when you're not in the postseason.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So yeah, it's it'll be interesting to see how quickly the news cycle goes through and who they're going to end up being talking to here. But it's one of those 2 winning seasons in what was it? 6 years?
7 seasons,
years?
yeah.
6? Yeah. So it's one of those. I think the winning the Big Ten 2 years ago, when you had 2 top 10 picks and a couple other guys who were NHL talents, afforded you a couple more years. And, your top wins were 20. You had 3 seasons of 14 wins, which is not a winning record. This year was 13. It's just not to the standards Wisconsin had been used to. And, even Mike Eaves had some bad years. I mean, he had one with 4 wins and 8 wins, I think, something like that, where 2 years totaled 12 wins. And it's gotten to a point where, the program that for so long was the only moneymaker in the athletic department was nowhere near where it needed to be. And, we had talked in the past that maybe the only reason he might be keeping his job would be the fact that they're bringing in a class of 11 kids this coming year. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that aspect. But I mean, clearly something wasn't right within that program. And I mean, we talked about the inconsistency in styles of play and play even on a weekend. I mean, heck, you took Michigan to overtime and had a lead and gave it up on Friday night, and then played competitive on Saturday night, got the game to 4-4, and then 3 goals pour in, you lose 7-4, and your season's done. I mean, the team has what it takes to be competitive, it seems like, but for some reason or another, it just can't be. And when that kind of stuff happens, and you have like 6 or 7 guys on the roster currently with NHL rights, I would say that comes down to coaching and how the program's run. So it really becomes like an inexcusable mean, yeah, at that point, it falls on the coach's shoulders, and there's no excuse. You can't ask an assistant to leave and expect something to change like they did last year. It now falls squarely on the shoulders of the head coach, and he's a top 3 scorer all time, I believe, or points all time in Wisconsin history. And I mean, he was just as prolific of a Badger in like you name some of the greats, and his name will pop up, and he'll always be on there as a player. I've seen some people on blogs and stuff even compare it to the Packers hiring Forrest Gregg and Bart Starr. They were great players, and I mean, Forrest Gregg, I guess, would be considered a better coach than Bart Starr, but ultimately they both were living in a shadow of Vince Lombardi and their playing careers under him, and it just wasn't something that worked out. And I mean, I don't think Granato was really living in a shadow there, but it just didn't work out as a head coach.
Right, and I kind of said it earlier this morning. I can't believe it. It was 7 years ago, because I still feel like it was just a couple of years ago when Barry Alvarez made it was that group hiring. It was him and a couple of assistants, and it was like, okay, they're pumping some money into there. They're going to get this thing back on track, and here we are 7 years later, and good season last couple of years, falling short in the postseason, but obviously I would say probably didn't live up to those expectations that we all had.
Yeah, and 7 years ago, the real get people were excited about was Don Granato and his connection to the U.S. Developmental team and his grasp on I mean, I guess it's not youth hockey, but the kind of USHL player or the younger player that could be participating for the U.S. in those under 18 tournaments and all that kind of stuff. So that was the real get, and that's where you saw a lot of the signees coming from, because Don Granato, their relationship with him, and then he left for the Buffalo Sabres, I believe, as an assistant, and then I still think he's the head coach right now.
Yeah, still the head coach there.
It's one of those. He was the real assistant everybody was excited for, and like you said, they made that the highest paid overall coaching staff in college hockey, and hopefully this time around, I mean, maybe you still do throw money at it to try to get somebody in here, but it'll be interesting to see where they go. The way hockey kind of is right now, there's a lot of teams that if you historically follow the WCHA or hockey in general and aren't just a casual fan who doesn't even know the WCHA isn't a conference for men's anymore, and the CCHA absorbed that, and a lot of teams left for the National Hockey Conference when the Big Ten formed. It's one of those where it's like stuff getting turned on its head, and there's teams that you just wouldn't expect to be in the top 20 are there, and some of the old national powers, they're still there, but a few of them, like Wisconsin, have dropped off recently. And college hockey's a whole new animal, rather than just have the most NHL draft picks on your team and you're going to be good.
Yeah. So I'll ask it. I think I already know your answer on this, but I got to imagine it's it probably pops up every time this job is open. Mark Johnson got any interest going over there to the other side?
I don't think so, and I'm not sure it's a pick you at this time. I mean, he's closer to a foot in the door in retirement than starting a new gig just across the hallway. I mean, the record's there, and his track record with the women's program is awesome. I'm just not sure if there is something there that could make him move now. It was a political thing back in the day, from what I hear, where there were, legacy players who said they wouldn't be sending their sons to play for Mark Johnson. Whether that was true or not, I don't know. And that's why Eves was ultimately hired during that time period. So, yeah, it's not something I see, but I mean, I wouldn't argue if he ended up moving across the hall. But yeah, I think we see him stay over with the women's program.
So with that too, obviously something we've talked about off and on for a couple weeks now, RJ. That maybe this adds a little bit more to those fans who would like to see a change in Badger hoops. Now that McIntosh has made this move for hockey, would you say maybe this puts Greg Gard on a little bit of a shorter leash for next year? Because I think he's back next year. Greg Gard is. I don't know how you feel on that, but does that put him on a little bit of a shorter leash? Because this is another example of maybe Chris McIntosh not afraid to make a move, or is it because, well, I think we all kind of knew that there was probably going to be a change coming from the hockey program. We shouldn't read too much into that.
I think it's one of those, we knew a change was coming. Under Greg Gard, they've had one losing season. And I mean, that was the year everybody got hurt, and Brad Davison was forced into playing and had to play through a shoulder injury, and your team was just decimated with injuries, and there was a lot of whole thing going on in the background. It was one of those you could write a movie about, where it was like, it's like, you don't believe everything happened in one season in a movie. Well, it did. And, the team went 15-18 that year, I think it was. So, I mean, outside of that, sure, you can look at it and say, this Greg Gard should be fired right now because they're 17-13. Look at the amount of one possession games that, like, you just make one little change in something and the Badgers end up with victories. I mean, I think we were going over it yesterday, and I mean, we counted 9 games where if a call went the other way or something like that. I mean, if you box out, if you do one little thing, if you make a free throw, it's like the little things like that this year. I don't think it's on the coach. I mean, against Minnesota, like, the team started trying to just go back to jump shots and all that kind of stuff. And in the second half, I mean, Gard made it a focus of attack the hoop. And I believe there was a couple of times you could see him yelling at the players, take the effing ball inside. And for the most part, they shot 2 threes in the second half and it ended up winning that game. Yes, it was a close game. Yes, there were still easy layups that were missed and things like that. Well, Greg Gard cannot make a ball go in a hoop. That's on the player. But we saw Tyler Wall. He looks like he's getting better from that ankle injury. We're seeing him kind of do his little turns and those up and unders again, and he seems to be getting more comfortable. I don't know how Stephen Crowell can't make a basket when you're 7 feet. It baffles me that you cannot just lay in a basket every time. I mean, Zach Edey makes it look pretty easy. Now, granted, he's like another 6 inches taller than Crowell, but I mean, Crowell doesn't have to really jump to put the ball in the hoop. So I still think he gets at least another season, and I think it may be a season of whatever kind of meeting Chris and McIntosh had in October of and depending on who you talk to, it was a conversation about making changes to the program, working on the transfer portal, and embracing NIL. And the Varsity Collective will be able to help. If that's the kind of conversation that's going to be had at the end of this season with Gard, and Gard says no, he probably will be fired. If he's wanting to go along and keep his job, it'll be a situation of we might see a totally different team next year in terms of new bench players, knew a lot of things. Maybe not necessarily the style of play, but I mean, like I've said, you get the right people in here. We've seen the swing offense go to a national championship game. It's the perception and negative recruiting from the outside that really makes the swing offense and Wisconsin style seem bad to players. It's actually a decent game plan and gets a lot of mismatches and open shots when it's running on full speed. And if you can't get the Wisconsin recruits to come in here, yeah, maybe that's on you for not being able to recruit against the negative recruiting, but also you've historically brought in the right players, and the occasional Wisconsin kid who sticks around and says, yeah, this is the place for me, and does well. And you've always usually gotten some big guy who's under recruited who magically turns into an All-American. So it's one of those. I think there's still hope for Greg Gard to keep his job moving forward. It'll just be there's people willing to help you. If you're going to take the help, you're still here. If you say no, there's the door.
So, RJ, latest bracketology, which I'm sure you've seen from both CBS and ESPN. ESPN actually dropped Wisconsin out to one of the first four out. Both of them have the Badgers team as one of the first four out. They're going up against Ohio State tomorrow in the Big Ten Conference Tournament. If you had to put a number on it, how many games do they have to win to maybe punch their ticket to the tournament?
I think probably two. Because you go to Ohio State, and even looking at the bracket, I mean,
the thing is, like, I could see them winning
games.
3. Yeah, exactly. Like, they could beat Iowa in the second round,
right?
You know,
and I mean, they were a man down versus Michigan State, and Tom Izzo even said, if Tyler Wall's there, we lose this game.
Mm-hmm.
Point blank. If a healthy Tyler Wall is there, we lose this game. Yeah, I mean, it's set up. It sounds weird because Purdue's on your side of the bracket, but looking at every one of the teams that they could possibly face moving into Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they all have a viable chance to win those. Like, it's not, I'm looking at this matchup against Ohio State. They're going to get drilled and they'll be one and done and their season's over. Oh, they won. They're moving on against Iowa. I mean, you beat Iowa twice and once by double digits.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan State, like I said, that game was legitimately what we're seeing out of Tyler Wall now away from being a win. Purdue could have been a win. Michigan, you're 1-1 against, should have been 2-0. You had a bad inbound defense, and it showed because Jordan Davis was pulled for Isaac Lindsey in defensive situations. So, I mean, Greg Gard is definitely thinking about what you did against Michigan. Rutgers, I don't even know what happened in that game, but that's a team you can beat. So, like, it sounds odd to say, but there's legitimately a move here where the Badgers are really, like I said, there's probably like 9 games this year that you can see where Wisconsin could actually be in a Thursday game without, they could be ranked in the Big Ten to be in a Thursday game or heck, even a Friday game. Like they're that close to being a much higher seed than 12. And the matchups you look at, you can't look at it and mark it as a loss for Wisconsin. I mean, a lot of people want to, but they've had close games with all these teams, whether they beat them or not. And it's not really a blowout in any way, shape, or form that they've had this year where you look at it and saw, a team that has absolutely no hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, RJ, crazy times right now, man. Not short of any topics down there for the Badgers, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, and the thing is, if they're winning here, those are quad 1 or 2 wins moving forward. So they have more ammo to put in there.
Right.
And you know what? If that's what they want to do rankings and all that stuff on, I mean, there's teams out there. I mean, North Carolina, people are making a case for them. Why? They have one quad 1 win.
Mm-hmm.
One this year. They've lost every other quad 1 matchup. And they went into, I think, last weekend with 0 quad 1 wins.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's not a good team, but yet people want to throw them in the tournament because they're historically good and they're in the ACC. And they have 2 more wins than Wisconsin this year.
Mm-hmm. Man. All right, dude. So, really quick before I let you go, do you think they make the tournament? Prediction time?
I'll say yes. I think
Okay.
they get 2 wins. And, I think by Friday when you're playing your 3rd game in a row, you might run out of gas versus Michigan State.
Mm-hmm. Maybe one of those 11 seed play-in games?
Possibly. And you know what? We've talked about it before. I don't think the play-in games are for the automatic bids. Those guys, those teams earn their right. It should be the at-large bids that you're allowing in there. And you know what? Move them out of the 11 game. Move them into a different seed and make it a play-in game. I mean, it's not fair to those automatic qualifiers to be like, hey, you're playing on Tuesday or Wednesday. Because congratulations on winning your conference.
Right. All right, RJ. Hey, appreciate the time as always with you, buddy. Love catching up with you. I guess we'll see if something happens now that after we talked again. So if it does, we'll catch up tomorrow, okay, bud, or next week.
They'll probably already announce who the new head coach for hockey is. Like,
right. Exactly. So, oh man. All right, dude. Have a good week. We'll catch up soon, okay, bud.
All right, sounds good. We'll talk to you later.
You got it. There you go. There's RJ Cardinal joining us here this morning. We got to take a really quick break. And then we're going to wrap up things here this morning. Got a couple texts to catch up on and such. But, yeah, this will be a quick break. We'll be back after these words. Bucks tip off against the Orlando Magic. Now, if you're looking at an older schedule, might see it like, wait, they're supposed to play. What's going on? Different times. This time, a little bit of a different schedule change coming up here. Yeah, looks like I'm just kind of because I got this. Oh, so this was the Nets one. So if you're looking at the upcoming schedule, Nets game. Yeah, they're changing it up there. The 9th. It'll be a 7:00 tip off if anybody's looking at old schedule. It looks like for the Nets game coming up later on this week. So, changed to a 7 p.m. tip off. It was supposed to be 6:30, but it's going to be 7 p.m. for Thursday. But that doesn't affect tonight's game. You got the Orlando Magic tip off at 6 p.m. You can listen to that game coming up tonight on 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Okay, really quick. I ran out of time here, but we got a couple of texts to come up here. Mike said, okay, I have a non-Aaron Rodgers. Grind my gears. Every year I get so excited about baseball, and every year I tell myself not to get excited because the Brewers are a small market team, and it's just going to be the same deal as last year. I wish baseball had more parity. Unless they get a salary cap, that ain't going to happen. The thing is, they are never, ever, 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 ever going to get a salary cap. Player Association rep Tony Clark just even said it again the other day. Never agreed to it. Do you think the Badger men's basketball team could be a dark horse in the tournament? Let's see if they get to the tournament first. I agree with RJ. They got to win at least a couple games to get in there. What grinds my gears is everyone turning into Rodgers haters. He has been our man for a long time and is still the best alternative for the next couple of years. If we don't think Rodgers was committed last year, the organization let that happen, didn't hear them. I'm assuming that means complaining about him not being there. Well, I mean, to be fair, they're probably not going to do it in the media. They're probably not going to throw it out there. Goody was asked about it last year. Matt LaFleur was asked about it in the OTAs, and their response was the typical, political type, we wish all of our guys were here sort of thing. So they're probably not going to go out there and say it in front of the whole media. Hey, I'm an Aaron Rodgers guy. I want the storybook ending. I want him to retire as a Packer and that sort of thing. I don't want to see him in another jersey. Wish they would win another one with him. But there's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those things that's going to be best for both parties. Who knows? Time will tell. Time will tell. Have a good rest of your Tuesday, everybody. DP and the Danettes, they're up next. We'll be back at it again tomorrow, just past 6 a.m. We'll see if we've got any more developments. Talk to you then.